Hello, everyone. Welcome to Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers. This is Joelle Jobson. Today's topic is going to be the Power Apps PDF function. It's a new function, and it's one of the experimental features that you can turn on in your Power Apps, but it is really cool. It generates a PDF file. So let's get started. Okay, so this is a feature that in previous Power Hours we did when this function came out called print, the print function. We did a whole Power Hour about that, and that was really interesting. And we talked about kind of different permutations and ideas and how you could use it. But one of the problems with the print function is that it will only print exactly what you see on the screen, and it won't scroll or anything. And it was just, it's useful, but had some limitations. So this is a new function. It's just called PDF. So it's, kind of related as far as business requirements. When people usually want like a printout of something, they usually really just want it as a PDF so they can print it if they want. So this just takes you straight to creating PDFs directly from your Power App. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. And I've got your face up there, Joelle. I used to have your face over like where the function, the little boxes are at the top, but then it was in the way, so I've moved you. All right, and if this is your first time in Power Hour, we have a lively chat going on. There is a link underneath wherever you're watching this to request to join in Teams and to join us in Teams. So then we have to manually invite everyone. So that's how you can get in and chat with us. And then in the little panel in Teams, you have the general channel, which is where we have all the Power Hours. Then we have tabs for each the last few Power Hours. And then you be sure and click the little chat bubble up here at the top right so that you can click play on the video and chat with us at the same time. So that's where that's going on. And let's go. No, so last time I had the Power App I was using in my demo last week had, it seemed like it was hogging up on my bandwidth. So I realized that the Power App itself is what was causing my bandwidth to get slower as I did the demo. So this time I created a brand new Power App. So it's a very simple kind of plain Power App, but it will be able to get the point across. So in this demo, I've got just an issue tracker list. So this is just one of those templates that exists for a list. So this is my SharePoint list that this is based on. So I just pulled that list in into this new blank Power App, and I have a screen that has a welcome screen on it and a button to go create a new issue and a button to go, you can go like open an existing one. It's pretty simple. So what we're going to do is add this PDF functionality to it. So the first thing that we'll just start off simple. So I've put a couple of resources in the chat saying, let's see, go over to the posts tab, and I put a couple of resources in here about how to work with the PDF function and how just some information about everything I'm going to show you about how it all works. And so those are in there. And then, so I'm going to start off with a very simple one. So they're actually, you could use just a button. Do you have to use just something, some action that they're going to do that will kick this off? So you could just have a button that simply does this PDF function, or you can have this PDF function run after somebody submits a form, something like that. I'm just going to put a button at the top of this screen, and there is actually an icon of a PDF document. So I'll just insert that and just stick it at the top and just change it to white. So there. So that's the button I'm going to use to start off with to print this screen to PDF. So you do the PDF function, and then you tell it your target. So your target can be a screen. This is the screen welcome. That's the name of this screen. Your target can be a screen or a gallery It it doesn't let you put the name of a form in here, but a screen, a gallery, or a container you can put directly, so you're telling it what you're creating a PDF of. Now, when you go ahead and try this out and you click it, it's gonna, if you just did the PDF function, nothing's gonna happen, because what it did is it just kind of generated a PDF, but it's just inside of your Power App. So I didn't create a variable or do anything. I just, so it does nothing basically if you just put, just run the function. So you have to know kind of what you want to do with the PDF. So the first thing that you can do with the PDF is simply display it in the Power App. Now, I personally, I don't think that that's something that's going to be extremely common. Usually people want to have the PDF, not just look at it in the app. So, but let's go ahead and we'll kind of talk about how that would work. So what you do is, to be able to get to the data that of the PDF that it's generating, is you can wrap it in a variable. So I'll say set, and I'll say var welcome screen PDF. Just call it whatever I want to call it. And then it's getting slow again. Try to type a comma and my cursor froze up. I'll wait a second. Let's see. Yeah, page unresponsive. That's nice. Okay, so the things that we're going to go through is, there we go, there are my commas. Is the first thing is going to be the actually viewing it in the Power App. So it's just setting the welcome screen PDF, this new variable that I'm declaring, to be the PDF of this welcome screen. And so that data is going to be in the variable. So let's try that out. So now it has set it in a variable. So if I go look at that variable, it's going to be a big, long, ugly string of data. Where did they move the variables to? Okay. So for what is the document that we're referring to, it just gives you a sample by default when you use this PDF viewer, but I'll make it show my var welcome screen PDF. So this might be just a good way that you can test to see what it's going to look like when you are, because there are several different things you can do with it. You can have it send it in an email. You could have it go kick off a flow and create a file in SharePoint. But this is a good quick way that you can just see what the output looks like if you wanted to just put it in a variable and then have it just be viewing the variable on a screen. I don't know. I don't usually see, oh, they moved it down here. Oh, here they are. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jeff. They moved the variables over here. Oh, thanks. Variables and collections. I'll be re-recording my training now. I'll just do that this afternoon real quick. Okay, so yeah, here are all the variables. And there's my var welcome screen PDF, which is a big blob. It's very ugly. So I'm not even going to try and view the blob because it's just a big string of text. But that is where it is stored. Now this just really hasn't rendered itself. Like, it's just taking a few minutes. I'm not sure why. Let me try to go over here. And it's just really, really slow. See, like everything I click on, it's just gotten really slow. So I'm trying to take my time with it. There we go. Okay, see, there's my PDF. I'll make it bigger. Okay, so here is that's what the PDF looks like of what it's generated. Now that's very ugly. That's got a bunch of weird pages and it's kind of cut off. So, but there are things you can do with it to make it look a little nicer. So I'll go over a couple of those things that you can do with it to make it look nicer, and ways that you can configure the way it looks. And then we'll talk about other things that you can do with it, like send it to somebody in an email directly from the Power App, or have it generate a file in SharePoint to have it create the PDF in SharePoint and maybe do things with that. And okay, so I'll go back to my welcome screen where I put this icon. And you'll notice in your documentation that you have I'll pull this up on the screen. I know it's kind of a lot. Here are some examples of what you can do. So you have the screen, you have the name of the screen or control that you're using. So it tells you what it supports, like galleries, containers, screens, the size of the PDF, the DPI, dots per inch, I think is what that stands for. And you don't have to do that. It defaults to 96. Margin, so that lets you put how many millimeters for all the margins. And the default is 0.5. And orientation, that is cool. So back when we talked about the print function, if you click the print function, the end user had to then know to go change like the print orientation in the sort of print dialog, but this lets you actually control the orientation. And then expand containers. This is huge. This is awesome. So this is way better than what you could do with the print function, because it will actually, if you're printing a gallery or printing a screen that has a gallery on it, or if you're printing a screen that has a form on it, then it will actually print the whole thing and it will print it on multiple pages. Yeah, pretty awesome. Okay, so then it has a few examples here of what you'd be able to do with those. So let's try those out. So what I'm going to do is let's see, I'm going to do my orientation landscape, and I'll say expand containers true. So you put this inside of here in these little curly brackets. So I'm doing PDF. I'm telling it the target is my screen or gallery or container. And then orientation, you have to do these little curly brackets like you do kind of extra settings in your function sometimes. And then orientation landscape, expand containers true. So then let's see what happens when we do that. So it takes a second. I just clicked the PDF button. It kind of bounced a little bit. I'm not sure why. But let's go over and see what the result looks like. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. That is a multiple screen. Do y'all like that? That is what we needed for that other thing, for the print function. So what do y'all think about that? That's pretty powerful, right? So it will do the same thing for a form too. So let's go try it on the form. So I'll go over here and I'm just going to copy that PDF, and I'll go to my form. And then instead of setting the Very Welcome Screen PDF to the screen welcome, I'm going to say SCR issue form. And then the same thing, orientation landscape, and expand containers true. So the form is a container. So notice how this form, I did this on purpose. I made it so that it's scrollable. So the whole form isn't necessarily showing on one screen. So you could see that it's actually scrolling when you print it. So I'll go ahead and try that. So then it's doing this weird little bouncy thing. I'm glad y'all like that. That's pretty cool. All right. So then I'll just go look at what the result looks like. And look at that. So it's got, it scrolled the form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more fields to this list so you can see that it's, actually an easier way to do that would just be to change the settings of the form. Instead of adding more fields to it, I'll just like change it to one column and put snap to columns back on. And then look, so now it's going to have a whole bunch of scrolling. All right. And then I'll go ahead and try that again. Print to PDF, and it does its little bouncy thing. And then again, I'm just using this other screen just for testing to quickly see what the result is going to look like. And then look at that. It is scrolling. Now, obviously that attachments thing is gigantic, but it's scrolling down to the next screen. And so all your fields would scroll down the screen. So if you had a really big form, this would be extremely useful. So let's try one more thing with just changing like the margins. Let's do the little margin settings. That's going to be, let's see, I'll put margin 10 millimeter. So comma And we'll see what that looks like. And back over here to see the result. So it gave it, you can see the margins are smaller because it said the default is 50. So that just kind of, see, it gave me nice and some more real estate there. Okay, so another thing that we can do, so now that we've looked at some of the different commands that you can put in there and different functionality and what the PDF itself is going to look like. Now, oh, one more thing about that screen is that you can make it so if you have controls that you don't want to show when it's generating the PDF, you can do that. So notice that I have this submit button here and I have this, maybe I don't want to see this PDF thing or this arrow. I just want to see like the top header. I don't need buttons to show in the PDF, right? So what I did here is in the visible property, remember this, we learned this functionality when we talked about that print function, but the same thing works for the PDF too. So I can say, basically, don't show this control when this screen is printing. So I'll just put that in the visible property of the things that I don't want to show when it's printing. And I'll go try it one more time. Generate the PDF. And then you can see that, drum roll. Now see that little printer, the little PDF button is not showing, and the button, the submit button is not showing. So that's a huge bonus, right? All right, cool. I'm glad y'all like that. That's pretty exciting. Okay, so now what do we do with the PDF besides just looking at it? I mean, that's not really useful to just look at the PDF in the app. So, I mean, obviously you could display it for them in the PDF, in the app, but you're going to probably want to send it in an email or actually create that PDF somewhere. So you can do that. You can send it in an email. So I'm going to use the send an email. So I'm just going to leave this setting a variable thing just how it was. And then I'm going to, so what I did already was I added the Office 365 Outlook connector to my app, which is what gives me the ability to directly send email from my app. So I'll do the Office 365 Outlook.send email is the function that I want to use. And then you can see at the top where it prompts you what it needs in each part of the formula. So I'm going to send it to me, just my little test account. I have it, copy it to the clipboard. Like that. And then the next thing that it needs is the subject. So I can say test PDF. But you can also put dynamic data in there, like information about that record that you're on. And then I'm going to say for the body, this is what it's asking for next. See attached. And then the magic happens when you do the actual attachment. Now this is in Microsoft's documentation. It tells you exactly how to do this. So I'm just going to do, I got some of it. I'm just going to copy and paste it. Attachments. It's in a curly bracket, attachments table, and then this is going to be the name of what you want your PDF to be called. Test PDF.pd. It has to have a .pdf in it. And then the content bytes is going to be where you put that PDF. And that's where you can just use the PDF function. So up here, I had set the PDF in a variable, but you don't have to put it in a variable. You can just directly do the PDF function right here when you're sending the email. So I'll just do this PDF of this screen. And those are the same sort of parameters that we talked about. And then I'll close this little curly bracket and then close this parenthesis for the table and then close the other curly bracket, and then close the parentheses for the send email. Okay, so now that's going to send me the PDF in an email. So let's try that out. It's going to send a PDF of this screen. And I've got my little, oh, did I not change the name of the screen? Sorry, I think I just copied and pasted it. Let me double check. Yeah, you can't point to, it's another good point, is that you can't point to another screen. So see, I had it pointing to the issue form. That's another screen. So you actually have to be on the screen of the thing that you're trying to do the PDF of. Okay, and here's my little test email. It should arrive any second. This is another one that I did earlier. Here goes, test PDF. And then look at that, scrollable, and it's exact copy of the gallery I was just on. Oh my goodness. So cool. This is very exciting. That we have a lot of requirements. Do y'all have requirements like this of people wanting to just have a PDF of something straight from a Power App? A lot of my projects have that as a requirement. I'm not sure why. I mean, everybody could just go to the app and look at the data, but a lot of the times maybe they need to send it to somebody or send it outside of the company or just have it file it away or something like that in this certain format. So it just prints out exactly like you see it. All right, so that's how you can make it go in an email. So one thing you could do is if I don't want to, if I have a screen that I want it to print and I don't want to, maybe I want it to print a different screen that I'm on, you could just have it navigate to that screen, then send the email and then navigate back and have that all be in one big command, one big formula. So that way you're able to sort of print another screen that you're not currently on. Okay, so then another thing that you can do is, and that's all documented in their on their page, on this link that I sent you all. It shows you how to send it in an email, how to show it in the PDF viewer, how to send it in an email, but you can also use it in a flow. So I'm sitting there thinking like, well, why would I want to use it in a flow if I can just send the email directly from the Power App? So if you need to do something like have the PDF put it in SharePoint, or if you need to have the PDF open up, like as soon as they generate it, have it open up in another tab in the browser, those are all extra, more advanced things that you can do by adding Flow into the mix. So I went ahead and I'll just...
Or get like a signature if you're using like Adobe Sign or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying that's another reason you might want to Flow.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because then you could tie it in with the Adobe stuff. Oh, the Adobe Actions. Oh, that's fancy. Yeah, good idea. So, and one of the things we did in the Power Hour where we talked about the print function, or one of the Power Hours where we talked about the print function, is that we had it send the data to the Flow. The Flow generated the file. The Flow converted it to a PDF, and then the Flow talked back to the Power App, and then it launched that actual file that it had just generated and it opened in a new tab. So now we've talked about all the pretty simple basic things that you can do with the PDF function. And now we're kind of moving to more advanced, like let's see if we can break it. Let's do a bunch of crazy stuff. And so we've done this before, so let's go ahead and put all these steps together and do this, do a flow. So I did one before I got started, so we have half an hour. I wasn't sure how much time we would have, so I did one ahead of time just in case, but it seems like we have time to just do a brand new one so that you all can see, what all the steps are. So I'm just going to go ahead and let me make sure it's zoomed in enough. Zoom to 150. Create a new flow. I always just skip this wizard. And then Do you have any projects, Joelle, that you think that they would like to have that whole big, like a whole gallery printed or a whole form like that? Have you
Yeah, I
seen
can think of
people
some.
ask for stuff like that? I have.
Not the gallery, but the form for sure.
Yeah, well, think about the gallery as like a report. So people
Yeah,
want to have
yeah,
like a report of something. So usually you have to have, if you want like an actual report, that would be a Power BI report. But this is kind of like a poor man's way of, you can make your gallery look really nice. You could have indicators and you could have conditional formatting like we did in another Power Hour. And then you can make it look like a really fancy report and then click generate. Like you could
yeah,
call your button generate report and then
yeah.
it'll look really nice. Okay, so Power Apps is going to be our trigger. Oops, I didn't use the right Power Apps trigger. Hold on. I want to use Power Apps version 2. It's just more useful. I'll just choose Power Apps here and choose Power Apps version 2. And then I'll say issue to PDF 2 to make sure I know that that's the second flow. All right. So, and it's even got this in the documentation too. It says it wants a file, your file content, and your text is going to be the file name. And those are the two pieces of data that you're going to send over to the flow from the Power App. It's going to take that entire blob of what the file content needs. So in the past, where we've had a flow that then you have to create, you have a Word document and they have to use the convert to PDF. Well, this doesn't need a convert to PDF action because it's already a PDF when it arrives in the flow. So what you're going to do here is, I'm going to pull that up so I'm looking at it as I go. So I added my 2 inputs and then I add my SharePoint connector. So this is, where do you want your file to go in SharePoint when you generate it? So you're going to use the create file action, not create item, but create file. And then I have this site called Modern Demo. So I'll just use Modern Demo as my location. I pick which library I want it to go to, and that is my shared documents library, which is also referred to as documents. So it's the documents library, but you can see I've used this for a bunch of demos, but it's called shared documents in the URL. So that's why the flow thinks it's called shared documents. And then the file name is where I just use my dynamic data that I'll get from the Power App and the file content here. So be sure that when you send the file content over, you already have the .pdf, or the file name has to have the .pdf. So then from there, it will just create the PDF file for you in SharePoint. So we'll do this part and then we're going to add on to it. So I'll go ahead and save that. And then this is a brand new flow. Last time I created a brand new flow when I was already in the Power App. The Power App didn't see it. So I'll just preemptively just go ahead and exit the Power App and go back in so that it will recognize it. It's still saving. Any questions? I see that y'all think this is cool. Oh yeah, let's see. Todd says I compile certificates of completion and send the PDFs created from the Word doc template. Oh, I love that Word doc template. That's that's my favorite. That's like my favorite flow action. It's very cool. Okay, so I saved it. Go just out of it and just go back in. And then my flow has been saved also. So all it's going to do when I click the button in the flow is going to be to just create the file. And then we're going to add on to it and we're going to make it so that when you click the button, it will actually create the file and then open the file for you in the browser, all just while you're in the Power App. So this is called issue to PDF 2. So I'll go, I don't know why this is being weird. It's making me close the Power App twice. Go. Yes. It's okay, Power Apps, you can close.
You can do it.
And here it is. And like I put all this other stuff, all these model driven random things I've never seen before in front of my app. Okay. Oh, Colleen said it's old school. People like to send emails with attachments. Yes. Oh, see, C levels love a PDF. That's so true. C levels love to not have to go into Power Apps too. They just want to receive the PDF. Okay, so I'm going to create a new button. Oh wait, I have to add it. Add flow, and it's going to be called issue. There it is. Issue to PDF2. And go. And I'm going to delete that other one, that other test one that I had created in here, just to keep it simple. Okay, so there's my connector. That's my flow connector. It's not going to be listed with all the other connectors. It's got its own little screen. And then here on this screen that I want to, well, here's what I'll do. I'll just go to one of these forms and I'll say, I want to email this form to somebody as a PDF. And so last time the example I did was the whole gallery. We'll just do the form this time. So I'll put a mail icon at the top and just make it white. And then what do I want to happen when I click the button? So this is where you have to put the name of your flow, issue2 to pdf.run. And you just have to know to start typing the name of your flow here. And then the first thing that I want to do is tell it the name of the file. So let's see, since I'm using var record, I'm going to make this dynamic and I'll say issue file, and then put, I'm getting fancy here, put my var record of the record that I'm on dot title. So that's going to be the title of the issue is going to be the name of the file. And then I have to do a dot PDF. Actually, I don't want to put a space in here. I don't want to put any spaces. I'm just going to smash that all together just in case. I don't like putting, when I'm testing something for the first time, putting like random characters or spaces in a file name. I just want to make sure that it works just normal. Okay, so there's my file name. And then it needs the actual record of the file that this big blob of information that we're sending over. So I'm going to call this file. And let me split this out a little bit. There we go. File. And then curly brackets, name. And I'm putting the syntax exactly like it's showing in here. And I don't want it to just be called something generic. I want it to have this something dynamic as the name of the file. Content bytes. And that's where you do your PDF function. So I'm doing a PDF of this screen. And then I'll do the, what was it? Let's see, expand containers. I'm going to try, and I'm not going to put the orientation. I'm just going to put expand containers, and I'm going to see what it looks like. We'll just try that out. Oh, and I have to put that in curly brackets for all those little extra things that you put as your sort of PDF settings. And then I have several different things to close here. I have to close 2 curly brackets and a parentheses and split it all out. So this is what it looks like in Microsoft's documentation. This is the part that, like I mentioned, this is more advanced. I hadn't even done this part yet. So we'll try this out. So this is the one called Computer is Down. I don't want that to be a sentence. I just want it to be a title. There. Now I've got my var record that I'm using that stores the record that I'm in. So that's the thing that I'm going to send. Oh, current screen. I put the wrong screen. I did that last time, didn't I? Okay, so it's going to be SCR issue form. It's like, it'll definitely tell you when you do it wrong. Okay, and then it does its weird little bouncy thing. And then what it should be doing is running the flow and then creating that file. Look at that. So let's go look in my library. Modified newest. Look at that issue file. Computer is down, and that was the name of the issue. Drum roll. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So it just printed it as portrait, which is the default, and then it just printed the whole form. So even though it had a scroll bar on the form on the screen I was on, it didn't do the scroll bar. It didn't stop. It just printed all the fields. So you could have a pretty long form with a bunch of fields and a bunch of scrolling, and it would just go down the page. So that's pretty cool. So now the next thing to do, well, what if the user is in here in the Power App and they just want to click to generate the PDF and they immediately want the PDF right there in front of them? That's probably what your end users would want, right? Yeah, that's probably, I'm just imagining my typical end users that request PDFs. That's usually what they want. But sending in an email is also completely feasible. Let's see, how's the stream? Is it going okay? Seems okay. All right, I'll just keep going. I'm going to go over to the flow. So the flow is going to be the next thing that we do is when you're talking back from the Power App to the flow. And then what I want to do is talk back from the flow to the Power App. So I want the flow to give the Power App, it's going to get the link, the URL to the document that it just created. And then it's going to send that back to the Power App. So then the user would be able to see that document or open that document. So when I go to the flow, I'll go edit my flow. I'm just going to be patient with it. So the next step is, so what I like to do when I am creating a file and sharing a link to it in an email, specifically a file, not necessarily a list item, is I like to use that sharing link that it creates. I've just had issues where people clicked on, when they use the link to item, it just didn't work on like weird different tablets and different OSs and things like that. So the sharing link seems to always just work. So I'll go to my modern demo and I just need to go to the same library that this file is in that I just created. And I'm using the item ID of the file I just created. And then for the link type, it's just going to be, I'll just say view only. It's a PDF anyway. So it's just, it's going to be view only anyway. And then I'll just choose people in your organization. And of course, link scope is going to be, it's going to be limited to what your global setting is in your environment anyway. It's not going to allow you to use the anonymous thing if anonymous sharing isn't turned on in your environment. So it's creating the sharing link. So then the key is to respond. So if you have the respond to a Power App or flow, you're saying, why would I respond to a flow? That's in case you had a child flow. If you had one flow kicking off a child flow and then the child flow needed to respond, that's what you need that for. So I'm responding to a Power App, and then I need to tell it what data I'm going to send back to the Power App. So all I really need is just that URL of the document that it just generated. So I'll just say just text, and then I'll say file URL. And then the data that I'm going to send it is the sharing link that it generates to that file. So like I was mentioning, if I didn't use that sharing link, let's see, link. There's a piece of data in here. Oh, maybe it's not in the create file action. Maybe it's in the other file actions, and for SharePoint, it's got like a link to item. Okay, so sharing link is what I need to respond with. And then I'll go ahead and save that. And then I need to do something a little extra in my Power App to do something with that link to be able to present the link to them. All right, so in my Power App, when I click the button to send it to PDF, let's see, which one did I do no, that's just, oh yeah, that's where I put my on select. Oh, you know what? I should change that icon. I was confusing myself with the icons that I used. I'll do my icon.download. Yeah. So then it looks like I'm like getting that file, right? It just makes more sense. So then in my on select for that one, I'm already, kicking off the flow, but what I need is I need it to give me the data from the flow. So then when I need that, I need to actually wrap this in a variable. Set, and I'll call it var PDF to flow. Just calling it whatever I want. This is a brand new variable. And then I wrap it inside of this whole thing. And then I'll have a variable that will give me back that data, that piece of information from the flow. So when they click the button, it's actually going to go kick off the flow, create the file in SharePoint, which is going to take a few seconds. So the button's going to be kind of gray while it's doing all this, but the end user would really need to wait because it's going to respond back. So it'll actually, if you put the respond to a Power App and Flow action in your flow, the end user does have to know to kind of wait a couple of seconds and not just exit the app, because it's going to give them some data back. So, there's that new modern control we talked about last week that's got a little spinner, and you just put the spinner on there and make it show them a spinner while they're waiting. Okay, so then after that, it's going to give me a URL. So the way that I can tap into that information, so I'm going to do this in baby steps. So the first thing that I'm going to put here is just I'll put a text input box, just because I want to visually see. I'm going to move this over. I want to visually see that hyperlink that it's going to generate, and then I want to be able to go grab it and try it out, and then we'll go through the next step of actually automatically opening that hyperlink. I just want to look at it first. So I'll put the var PDF to flow dot, let's see, where's the, I'm trying to remember where it was. I think I need to go get that data first. Yeah, because this app doesn't know yet that I added that respond to a Power App thing in it. So it doesn't know yet to have the dot extra information. So let me go back here and I'll refresh it. So I have to refresh my flow. So now the Power App's going back and looking at the flow and looking at, anything that might have changed in it. So now let's see if it will give me that. Oh, yeah, there it is, my file URL. So that's what I called it over here in the flow, is when I said to respond to the Power App, I called it the file URL. So now I'm going to show that file URL right here, just so you can see what it looks like. Okay. I'll go to a different one this time. Program, let's say emails. Torn carpet. There you go. That's a good one. So I'll click the little download button, and now it's kicking off the flow, and the flow's talking back. You can see the little dots going across, and look at that. It just appeared. Huh. So now, since I've created a text box here, I can just copy that and just test this and paste it over here. And there it is, my torn carpet. And there's my, so one more step. So what I'm going to do is the user doesn't need to see the URL. They just need it to open automatically, right? So after I click this button, I don't need to see this. I'll just copy that. After I click this button, I'll move it back over. Then do a semicolon, and then I'll say launch. And launch is the function that lets you actually go to a hyperlink. And that's where I'm going to put that name of the variable dot, that URL that the flow sent back to the Power App. So then launch will actually automatically launch it in a new window. So let me go to another record, broken mouse. And now I'm on broken mouse and it's doing its weird thing. And you can see the little dots going across the top. And then it says pop-up blocked. Did you see that? So I have to allow pop-ups because it's gonna open it it's like preventing it from opening as a new tab. So let me try it again. If there are more fields than fit on one page, is the PDF paginated? Well, it automatically scrolls to the next page. Not sure what you mean, Lisa. If it was longer, it would just go and there would be a second page, however long it needs to be. It doesn't give you like options of where you want it to cut and divide, but it automatically scrolls further than what you see on the screen in the app. It's like this attachments thing was cut off in the app, but it automatically scrolled and captured the entire form for me. So yeah, there it is. It just opened it straight up for me. Let's do it again. I'll go back and I'll go software crashed and then click download. And there we go. It only took a few seconds. That's pretty cool. And then you could even, if you don't want to have all this, if you don't want to have all this stuff getting created in your library, you could just add another action to your flow that deletes that file that it just created. And so after it does all this stuff, it could then delete the file. But, well, you know what? You can't do that in this one because if you send it in an email, then you wouldn't need the file, you could delete it. But if you're actually sending people straight to it in the Power App, then you actually do need the file to be there for them to click on to open. So another thing you could do is if you're trying to stall them, you could have a screen that's showing that PDF viewer on the screen and have it go to that screen while it's waiting, where you're waiting for the flow to run, and then it would open in a new tab. Just if you wanted them to see it before they click to generate that download, you could do that. What do y'all think? Let's see. We'll go back to, let's see. That was pretty cool. That was a fun one. I'm glad you all voted for that one overwhelmingly. So that was a good topic. I really enjoyed that. Again, it's a new feature. Oh, one more thing. It's a new feature. You have to go to settings and upcoming features and search for PDF and turn it on. You have to turn the PDF function on. Now I noticed that it was there. It even like existed before I turned it on. So, but I think you do have to turn it on before it will work. So glad you stayed to the end to see that important piece of information. Okay, let's see. All right, well, thanks for coming to Power Hour. And we have next week, I will be in Las Vegas speaking at the Microsoft 365 conference. I'm doing a whole workshop. I have a whole day on Monday teaching Power Apps, just a lot of the stuff from our training courses online. And so that'll be fun. And so we're not having Power Hour next week. So you could always go to iwmentor.com and click the schedule button at the top to see when our next Power Hour is going to come up, but we're typically most Wednesdays at 11 Central. So thanks for tuning in, and check out iwmentor.com. And we have Power Apps training. We have a whole bunch of other Microsoft 365 training in there. Check us out. Thanks, Joelle. Have a good afternoon. Bye, everybody. Thanks for participating.